How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, January 3rd, 2017. You're watching episode number 66 of the Conscious Resistance Live. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing this out on my pages. If you can please go ahead and give me a thumbs up, let me know you can hear me okay. And if you can share this to any groups that you're a part of, any pages on your timeline or your friend's timeline. Also, be sure to comment below and let people know where you're listening from, so whether you're watching this live or listening to it later, people can see how big this movement is. I'm here from Houston, Texas, broadcasting. It's the weekend of the Super Bowl, and there's a lot going on. I just got back from downtown doing some man-on-the-street interviews, talking to people, and I'm going to tell you all about that in just a second. Let me just share this link out a couple of places, and we'll get started. And like I said, if you want to share it with your friends, I would appreciate that. Share it any pages or groups that you're a part of. Thank you guys for tuning in. We do this every Friday. I usually try to do it at 5 Central. I'm doing it about an hour late now because just been a busy day. And as I said, I was downtown Houston. The Super Bowl is in town. There's all kinds of people here from all over the world, it seems. And we are trying to do our best to go out there, talk to them about real topics, talk about human trafficking, talk about what's happening in the city of Houston, talking to people about government, whether they think they're free or not. Those videos will be live. We'll give them a couple days. I'll put that out over the weekend or sometime next week, so you can look for that. New York, what's up, New York? We also had Lone Pine, California. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate that. Once again, my name is Derrick Broze. I'm a journalist here from Houston, Texas, activist with the Conscious Resistance Network and the Houston Freethinkers. I write for activistpost.com and the antimedia.org. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're new here, please go ahead and give this a share on any timelines, groups, pages that you can. Thumbs up. Cool. We'll get started now. I've shared it out everywhere I'm going to. Actually, let me share it one more place, my personal page. It's a good day. It's the weekend now. I don't know how you guys are doing. Let me know. Let's start with that. How are you doing today? Because I like to make this a communication, a conversation between us. I'm going to try to stay focused today and only do 30 minutes. Sometimes I get a little bit long-winded and I get on these rants. I've got a little list of topics to cover. I'm going to try to keep it focused. But I think you guys seem to enjoy when I come straight from the heart. And when I'm coming straight from my heart, the universe just kind of takes over, and I just start ranting and going into my thoughts. So I'll try to keep it minimal. We got a few stories to talk about, and these are pretty disturbing stories that we're going to talk about. And they're all important. They're all valuable. Everything that I talk about, I will be posting the links below. So if you're listening, watching on the Facebook.com/theconsciousresistance, you can see the links below. So let's start with that. First off, I'm going to post the link to my journalism page. If you would like to subscribe or bookmark this page, you can see it right here. And you can go ahead and follow me. As I said, I write for the antimedia.org and activistpost.com. So here we go. Oh, wait, I'm doing good today, happy today. My life is getting better. I'm happy to hear that. Alfie, Joseph, Alan, what's going on? I see your Canadian flag. What up, man? Glad to have you guys on board. I'm posting the link now to my journalism page right there for you. Let's get going now. As I said, we got a lot to cover, and I'm going to go ahead and post the link to theconsciousresistance.com. If you guys never checked out our website, check it out. There's videos, interviews, vlogs, essays, reports that I've done, that people on our team have done. It's also an open source, community source website, so if you want to join, you go to theconsciousresistance.com. You can see a page where you can join, and you can contribute your content, your message, because we want this to be a movement of people empowered, coming together to try to elevate the status and the consciousness of our species towards something that reflects the value of all life and a direction that really supports that life. So that's what we're working on here, and if you want to be a part of that, then please go to theconsciousresistance.com. Please share this link out right now. Thank you to our partners at Activist Post, at The Mind Unleashed, at Wake Up News, Collective Evolution, and everyone else on those teams. So as I said, I'm in here in Houston. Beautiful day, sun's still out. It's just now starting to set. Downtown Houston is crazy. I live right in the east side of downtown, so I'm right here. I see it all the time. But the crazy thing is, it's the Super Bowl this weekend. You guys pay attention to sports? You guys pay attention at all? I don't really watch football, American football much, but I do know that the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots are playing in the Super Bowl, the biggest sports game of the year, really of all sports. It makes the most money. It's the biggest sports game, they say, in the world. And we got somebody listening from Morocco. What's up, man? Nice to meet you. And so this sports thing is here, right? And like I said, I don't really pay attention to sports. All of my action, my activity is focused on waking people up, informing people, whether it's journalism, whether it's live shows like this every week, or videos I do, or the books that I've written. It's about trying to get people to think. So we decided, the activist community, I'm a part of the Houston Freethinkers, we decided to use the month of January as part of National Human Trafficking Awareness Month, use the whole month to talk about human trafficking. We've held documentary screenings here at our house, the Freethinker House. You can follow us on Facebook at The Freethinker House. We've raised money. We held documentary screenings, and this weekend at the Super Bowl, outside of the stadium, we're going to be going around passing out flyers to all the people attending the Super Bowl, trying to inform them about human trafficking. Now, if you don't know what human trafficking or sex trafficking is, sometimes people seem to get the definitions mixed up, and this is really a new topic to me. I've just started to research this the past couple of weeks really intently as I write for Mint Press News. Mint Press News, check them out on Facebook, great source of news and information. I do investigative reports to them, so I've been investigating. This is the first time I'm talking about this publicly, by the way, because it's a very dangerous topic, and the people involved in human trafficking and sex trafficking, especially in relation to kids, are committed to keeping that information private. And that means mafia-style people, cartels, sometimes police officers, and people involved in government, as you guys know. Houston is known as a hub for human trafficking, unfortunately. It has that name and that sort of reputation because we are an international city. There's the Port of Houston. The Interstate 10 crosses east and west across the country, and it comes in through Houston, so you can go west to California, east to Florida. Freeways run north and south, so you can get down to Mexico. You can get up north into other parts of the country. It's a very international, diverse city, so if somebody here has been trafficked from a foreign nation or from some region, they're not going to stand out among the city of 4 million people that are all from different parts of the world. So there's a lot of reasons that traffickers choose this area, and I've been doing an investigation which will be published on mintpressnews.com, mintpressnews, mintpressnews.com. It'll be out on Sunday, I believe, on the day of the Super Bowl. They're going to publish it, and that's all I really want to say on it now. I do want to say that I have inside sources that are showing me what's happening here in Houston, trafficking of little children, of young children being hidden in the strip clubs here in Houston. So we cover that history, and a lot of that is going to be really important. So I hope you guys will check that out. And Pizzagate is real. Charles Livingston. For those who are interested in Pizzagate, I will say go to theconsciousresistance.com, search Pizzagate, or just scroll down a little bit. I did do a report talking about Pizzagate and what I think are the two strongest points. And on that note, while we're talking about this human trafficking story and its connection to things like Pizzagate, I do want to mention, some of you guys may know Ben Swan. Raise your hand, give me a thumbs up if you know the journalist Ben Swan, who works for CBS 46. He ran a website called truthinmedia.com. He was a journalist for a local Fox back in the day. Ben is a very well-known independent journalist who is out there actually. He's also, I have huge respect for him. He's the only journalist to ever ask Obama straight to his face about Obama's assassination list, the kill list. I worked for Ben at truthinmedia.com, and I consider him to be a friend, and we can communicate fairly often. I just want to say, as I posted on Facebook earlier this week, some of you may have noticed that Ben Swan's stuff was all taken down off social media, that last week he started posting, saying things about his page was going dark, his social media, and you may have noticed that truthinmedia.com is gone, Ben Swan's Facebook page is gone, his Twitter account's gone, what else do we got? The fundraising that he was doing, crowdfunding that he was doing is going down, and all these things that really got people wondering and thinking, like, okay, did something happen to Ben? Because Ben is known for these really quality, amazing reports. Just look up, for those who don't know, go to YouTube, look up Ben Swan Reality Check. Just search that or Google that, and you'll find all these reports. But the thing about it is his personal channel that had all the Reality Check reports that he's done over the years has now been taken down. He did Reality Check with Fox, the station he worked. It was a local affiliate in CNN. And that's when I first met him back in 2012. And they started coming after him because he was exposing a lot of information then. He was censored in some ways. He left. He went independent. And that's when he started truthinmedia.com, which is the website that we wrote for. Then Ben moved to CBS 46 in Atlanta. He got an anchor spot, and he came back with the reality check segment, and it's really well reported and produced and well done, and he just has a good way of speaking. I look up to him a lot. And he put out a reality check a couple weeks ago on Pizzagate, and he's the first mainstream reporter to actually talk about Pizzagate. Whatever you think about it, I mean, at least watch his report. Thankfully, people have copied it, and it's available there. But it really doesn't dig very deep. There's deeper you can go. His PG update was a great start for people that haven't gone deep into tinfoil territory. I think so as well. There's a lot deeper he can go. He was supposed to be on last night. Was he on? I don't know if he was on last night. I haven't seen him on or saying anything this week. I haven't seen much mention to him on CBS 46. And I noticed a problem nearly immediately because the day after Ben posted the reality check on Pizzagate, all of the left-leaning media started attacking him. They put pictures of him with a tinfoil hat on and just tried to debunk him. But the problem is they know that he's well-spoken, his reports are done, they're quality, and they can't just dismiss him as some conspiracy theorist. He touches on topics that they don't like 9/11, Sandy Hook, Pizzagate, things like that. But Ben does his research. He's a two-time Lone Star Emmy award-winning journalist here in Texas, originally from El Paso, done a lot of great work, and I don't know if that's related to why his stuff disappeared. And from what I've heard from people close to Ben, and Ben has communicated with me directly, he is alive. This is the main purpose of this. Ben is alive. He's alive and apparently working on a new project. He said, he posted online saying, these pages are going dark, something good's coming, trust me and stuff. So that's all I know. He hasn't provided any more information to me. He said, we can talk soon. But I do want to say that Ben Swan is alive. He's fine. He's got something new in the works apparently, and if knowing Ben, if he felt the need to take down all those things, perhaps it's a new amazing project that involve being exclusive to something. So I just want to mention that while we're on the topic of human trafficking, Pizzagate stuff. Again, you can see the link on the Conscious Resistance Network to my Pizzagate report, and my report on human trafficking in the city of Houston is going to be on mintpressnews.com this Sunday. So check that out because you don't want to miss that. And I really want to say it's just the start of a series of reports because I've found so much information. The more that once I opened that door and started looking and hearing about these things, people are ready to talk, people are ready to share the information, and I'm not just talking about, this sort of abstract stuff, because yes, I do think there are politicians and people in power involved in pedophilia and in sex trafficking and human trafficking, but it's also happening every day to everyday regular people that get in just crazy situations and are, forced into drug addiction or abused or raped and all these horrible things, and it's happening, it's happening. So I'm doing my best to expose that, especially when I have examples and clear evidence of those in power, police, law enforcement in general, turning a blind eye. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that for now, but I will say there will be powerful information coming out and future broadcasts related to this. That's all I'm going to say for now. So I want to get into the next story now, which is related to the Dakota Access Pipeline, the DAPL. Some of you know I went to Standing Rock 3 times from August to December to report for Mint Press News and The Mind Unleashed and several other pages and websites, and I've been keeping up with the topic. And we talked about last week how Donald Trump issued a presidential memorandum, executive action, that essentially said, to fast track the process on the Keystone XL pipeline and the Dakota Access Pipeline, which has been the site of battle between the Standing Rock Sioux and allied water protectors and police and proponents of this pipeline for going over 6, 7, 8 months now in Cannonball, North Dakota. So on Wednesday, there was new arrests taking place in Standing Rock, 76 arrests of water protectors as a new camp, which was known as the Last Child Camp, was launched on the top of a hill. They began trying to put 7 teepees up to mark 7 nations. And eventually the police came and they made 76 arrests, including former Democratic congressional candidate Chase Iron Eyes. Some of you may have seen Chase Iron Eyes out there in Standing Rock and North Dakota reporting. He's been reporting steadily, and he put out a report talking about the DAPL and just calling on water protectors to continue the fight, what's going on. And of course, one of the ways, as Zach has just mentioned, one of the ways we've talked about for so long is that we need to divest from these systems, from the banks that are supporting this. And actually, on that note, I just want to mention, if you go to theconsciousresistance.com, I put out a new video. Damon, if you can post this link. I put out a new video just this morning called why haven't you quit your banks? And it talks about this, about just how all these banks are responsible for funding projects that don't serve people, that don't serve the earth. They were involved in the financial crisis. Millions of people lost their life savings and lost their jobs. They've been involved with financing terrorism, with financing and supporting attacks on indigenous communities whenever they're invested in copper mines and other projects in different parts of the world. All sorts of things. The corporate media funded by the banks. The banks are the private shareholders of the Federal Reserve, Central Bank of the United States, and most central banks around the world. So they're not working in the interest of the people, but we continue to use their institutions. And yes, it's difficult. I'm not saying I have the perfect answer, and this is what I say in the video, that I'm not criticizing anybody, but I am saying we should be critical of ourselves, because if we're ever going to change things, we have to start doing it with our own actions. We can't expect the world to change for us. We have to change it through our actions. And if we're unwilling to change our banks, because when I polled Facebook and friends of why they're still using banks if they are aware of these crimes and they don't like it, why are they just continuing on? Mainly it's convenient. I have direct deposit. I don't know how to change, or I just haven't taken the time. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's like, dude, if I was, okay, so let's imagine I keep stealing from you. I cause you to lose your job. I'm funding projects that are hurting your neighbors and in your family. I'm sending propaganda through the airwaves to you all the time. I'm doing all these things, all the actions that the banks are doing. Take that and personify it into me as an individual. You wouldn't want to hang out with me, and you definitely wouldn't do business with me. You would say, like, screw that guy. Like, I'm not working with him anymore. But when it's this institution and there's this separation, we just say, okay, well, it's convenient, or I have direct deposit. But those things can all be changed. I mean, it took my roommate here at the Freethinker House. If you follow us on the Freethinker House, you can see him and his progress. He quit the banks. Now he called Chase. He quit that. He joined a credit union. He's slowly canceling all his credit card debt. I mean, it's really just, it's a matter of taking your life into your own hands. So that's what you need to do. I mean, that's all it comes down to. And that's not even a perfect step. Like for me, I don't pay taxes. I don't have a bank. I haven't used banks in years. I get paid in Bitcoin. I use PayPal, right? But I have a debit card, right? That allows me the convenience. There it is again, the convenience, because I kept having frustration of not having cash on me. Well, now this thing allows me to use it like an ATM card, use it like a debit card, wherever I want, and it withdraws directly to my PayPal account. But that card is insured, I'm sure, by some bank, and that bank has probably screwed me over in some way. And that's even trying to avoid it in that way, I'm still contributing. So I'm not sitting here talking to you as if I'm perfect and I got this down, but I'm simply saying we got to start somewhere. And if we're really going to try to stop these projects and stop the fund of things like DAPL or others, even if you're pro DAPL, okay, let's take this. I guarantee you don't support the corporatism that's taking place in this nation that's backed up by the banks, the banksters that are getting away with crimes. Barely anybody was prosecuted and charged except for like Iceland, where they actually jail the bankers. You know, barely anybody in the U.S. has been held accountable for that, for, you know, blue-collar, working-class people losing their money, losing their jobs, and we're still doing business with them. I don't get it, and it's going to take change. So back to the DAPL, that's the way we beat that. But so the protesters, the water protectors, they tried to establish this last child camp, and it was technically, according to the state, private property, even though that whole area is historically Sioux territory. It's just been taken away through broken treaties and illegitimate attacks and wars and battles. So the police arrested 76 people. They were also out there with the LRED sound cannon. They were using rubber bullets again. Some people, I think, were maced from what I saw. Then Chase Iron Eyes and Jenny Monet, a journalist with the Center for Investigative Journalism, was also arrested, showing you that the war against and the attack on journalists that has been taking place this entire time during the resistance to the Dakota Access Pipeline continues under the President Trump administration. It's still taking place. And add to that, a new group of veterans now is saying they are coming to Standing Rock. A group called Veterans Stand. The spokesman, Anthony Diggs, said, "We are committed to the people of Standing Rock. We are committed to nonviolence, and we will do everything within our power to ensure that the environment and human life are respected." All on LaDonna's land. Yes, LaDonna's land is where the Sacred Stone Camp is, south of the Cannonball River. That's where I was camped at. And that was, you know, the police came onto there. The BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, also came onto there yesterday, and then the day before is when they came into Oceti camp, and then they also raided the beginning of the last child camp. So they've been coming through all the camps now. It's sort of moving into this new stage. This group of veterans is saying they're trying to raise money to come back. I don't think it's a scam. They seem to legitimately be posting, saying they're trying to come out there and do what they can. And as I say in this article, I predicted this on January 23rd, just last week, that President Donald Trump would sign executive actions to advance construction. And I didn't make this prediction because I have a crystal ball. I simply paid attention to the words of Kevin Cramer, who is a senator from North Dakota, also a friend of the big oil industry, and Trump's advisor on energy. He was appearing on local radio shows saying, "Oh, I expect on Monday Trump's going to fast track this. We got it in the bag. Don't worry about it. It's taking place." And nobody really paid attention to it, but then sure enough, Monday night, early Tuesday, Trump does his action on DAPL and the Keystone XL pipeline. So listen, if you pay attention, the clues are all there. That's all I'm saying, is the clues to what these people are talking about and what they are about are evident if you pay attention. Now, the next one I want to cover this, I just want to mention this. I did an interview earlier in this week, early on Monday. First, let me read a couple of these comments. I'll slow down. Watching from Germany, thank you for your reporting. When is the UN going to do something? I don't know if sending in an international government is the answer. I know it would seem nice, but I don't trust these governments well enough to bring in an international body. Keep out of the system, dude. Bankers, LOL. Yeah, exactly. Stay out of the system. They're trying to take down all the leaders. It's their way of breaking down the camps. I agree. The UN won't do anything. Hey, have you heard of Michael Tellinger? I'm sure you have, but he's trying to sue big banks. Actually, if you Google my name, Derrick Broze, Derrick Broze, and Michael Tellinger, you'll see an interview I did with him 2 years ago at this UFO conference in California, where we debate his Ubuntu contributionism and my beliefs on self-governance, essentially no government at all. The UN won't do anything. I agree. All right, okay, moving on to the next topic. Just briefly, earlier in this week, I did an interview with James Corbett. Raise your hand if you've heard of the Corbett Report, or give me a thumbs up or something. The Corbett Report, James Corbett. Check him out if you haven't. Corbett, Corbett, report.com. Great journalist, great. I've been a guest on his show this is the third time now. I recommend checking out all the interviews, including the ones that are focused on solutions. There's one called Counter Economics. This is what a real revolution looks like. Counter Economics, this is what a real revolution looks like. Google that, find it on YouTube. The second one is called Solutions, Freedom Cells. Both of those, if you want to understand my solutions and what my work focuses on outside of journalism, but my upcoming books, listen to those interviews, give them your time, and see what you think. This new interview with James Corbett Report, we did an interview, and he titled it, Trump's Attorney General Vows War on Encryption, and he interviews me about the new Attorney General who has been picked and nominated now by Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions, and his views on surveillance, encryption, backdoors, national security. We also talk about my upcoming book and some other things. So check that out. Damon, please go post that link. It's the Activist Post link. Damon's going to post that link to you, and you can watch that interview for yourself. That's all I wanted to mention on that. You can see my views on that particular topic. And the next thing, I'm flowing pretty well. I'm not getting stuck, guys. I'm proud of myself. I haven't got stuck in too long in a rant. I don't know if you guys enjoy when I start ranting, but I'm trying to cover information as well as just, not just jam my opinion down your throat. I want this to be clear, because some people they not understand that journalists, that objectivism doesn't really exist. You know who taught me this? Ben Swann, the great Ben Swann we were just discussing earlier. Ben Swann is an amazing journalist who taught me that when you go to journalism school, because I'm a self-taught journalist. I have a radio show here in Houston. I love to write, but I had to learn all these skills, all the vernacular and terms and methods myself by kind of working within the mainstream a little bit, but mainly just grassroots teaching myself. I didn't go to the university and journalism school. But people like Ben Swann, who've worked in the mainstream and kind of pushed back, have said, my name is Derrick Broze, for those who don't know. Somebody just asked, who are you? And he's told me that basically they teach you to be a broadcaster in there. They're not teaching you to be investigative, to dig deep. Thank you. There's that link for that interview I was just discussing. They teach you to be a repeater. So Ben says they just teach you to go in there and read teleprompters and not to dig deep and ask questions. So the people who are being brought into journalism now, they're not even being taught that. And then they push this faux objectivism where they tell you like, oh yeah, you're getting the balanced news. No, the thing is everybody has an opinion and everybody's got a bias towards a certain view. What we do in the independent, alternative, anti-establishment, pro-truth media is we say, guess what? We have an opinion. My views are geared towards anti-establishment. What that means is that I'm pro-people. That means that I'm going to be critical of the state's message. And when they tell me, like this next story that we're going to talk about, when they tell me, oh, Iran just attacked an American Navy ship, and there's no evidence, or they tell me Russia hacked the election and they provide zero to no evidence other than the word of other anonymous government officials, I challenge that and I question that. That's what it means. But it doesn't mean I'm going to make up facts. It just means I'm going to tell you all the facts and I'm going to put them together in a way that the deadstream corporate media, formerly known as the mainstream, doesn't tell you. They leave out context. That's how one of the ways we've done a show in the past where we talk about the different ways the dead stream lies. You know, some of them they lie by omission, they put false facts, but sometimes it's just by not providing context. You know, they don't provide context of the full story of what's going on. So what we do is we say, look, this is what the media is saying. Here's this one piece of information. But here are all these other details. Here's what this guy said 10 years ago. Here's the facts from these places. Put it all together now, paint a picture, and then a clear image comes into view, and you're like, wow, I think I'm better informed now. Maybe those people have different intentions than what the dead stream is telling me. But you don't get that opportunity unless you take in the full image. So that's what my job is. That's what my goal is. Objective journalism doesn't exist in the sense that people don't have opinions. There's many schools of thought when it comes to journalism. There's subjective journalism, there's immersive journalism. Glenn Greenwald of The Intercept, formerly of The Guardian, who helped release the Snowden documents, he talks about adversarial journalism, that journalists should have an adversarial attitude towards authority, that it is our job to expose. You know, that's what I told the local police when I went down for a press conference in Houston, and they told me, hey, when they told me to stay after the press conference, they said, you know, we want you to know, you're welcome to come here. You're welcome to be here as long as you're a respectable journalist. And just be a credible journalist. He kept saying this to me. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But I want you to know that it's my job to expose you guys. You know, I'm going to treat you like a human being. I'm going to give you that respect. But my job is to expose the lies that you put out there. And that's just how it is. And that's what it means to be a real journalist and to work in this field. Does that mean there's no concept as absolute true? No, there's not. I mean, I'm not saying that's not true. There are definitely facts exist. There are objective facts. But when journalists go out there and, for example, let me give you, and I'm getting off track here, but I'll give you guys a personal example. Okay, how many of you have heard of Ross Ulbricht, the Silk Road case? You heard of the Silk Road online marketplace on the dark web, the deep web, where you could use Bitcoin to buy drugs or fake IDs or anything that you can think of, really. It was just a free open marketplace. And Ross Ulbricht is the man from Austin, Texas, who's now serving 3 life sentences and has been accused of starting that, okay? I was at Ross's trial reporting on it every single day, and you can find TV interviews and all the articles I've done if you search my name and the Silk Road trial. And the court, the judge, and the government, which was suing Ross and charging him with all these things, they were screwing him over every day. I mean, they were just, the judge was denying witnesses. They were doing all sorts of backdoor tricks. And we're just sitting there watching in amazement of this, right? And we're surrounded by a lot of mainstream, deadstream journalists because this is a big story. So there's me and some bloggers and some independent media people. And you got people like, oh, there's CNN, oh, there's this people, right? And then you would read their articles later in the day, and they would completely leave out the facts. You know, again, this is how they lie. So they would just say, like, brief details of, oh, the trial took place this, and the jury was not selected, it's looking like this. You know, they maybe spend 500 words on it, right? And here I am just, being self-funded and funded by people who care about the story and wanted to send me to New York. And I'm writing 1,200 word pieces every night, you know, just typing it out, just all the notes I took, and giving you the context of the full case. That is, in what they do, though, leaving out all those facts, that's what passes for objective journalism. But to me, a real journalist would say, hey, maybe the audience needs to know that the judges are biased towards this individual, that they're violating their own laws. But when it comes to the mainstream, you have editors and they're, oh, no, we can't publish that because we don't want to upset the public. We don't want to upset the officials. Just like my story earlier that I was talking about, human trafficking here in Houston, some of the things that I'm going to be exposing over the coming weeks and months, they haven't been printed. They haven't been put out there because journalists in this city are apparently scared. People are scared to publish this information. People are scared. They're afraid for their lives. So a lot of times that keeps people from reporting and from being real journalists. I am not a special person. I am just determined to find the truth no matter where it leads. And if through my efforts I can help expose crimes, catch criminals, and help free people in some way, then it's worth any sort of risk that I may incur. So that's my little bit on journalism. Got off that a little bit. And so that's just to let you guys know a little bit about who I am and the kind of journalism I am, what I'm into. So I hope that helped you guys. Yes, CE has often, I agree. Collective evolution, is that who you're referring to, Matthew? You know what? I agree. I respect Joe Martino and everybody at Collective Evolution, but I think that sometimes they post clickbait titles and things that are not exactly what they claim to be. And I think that's a problem. Those of us in the independent media, anti-establishment, alternative media, we have to hold ourselves to a standard. Because if the people look to us and we're just going clickbaity and just writing BS, like, then we're going to lose this, man. We're going to lose the credibility and the support of the people. So if you see my name printed on an article, you better believe that I stand by everything that's in that. And if not, I will make it clear when I'm putting my opinion or I'm speculating. And even in this, if I'm going to say, hey, look, this is what I know about this topic, this is what I think may be happening, I will make it clear. But if my name's on an article or on a book, it's because I believe and I know those are 100% true and I've done my research. I still want you to dig deeper. I still want you to not just take my work for it, but I want you to know that. So take my name for it, trust it. Now let's move on. These next couple of articles, these two stories relate to Iran. We're going to hit some international news, and then we're going to close out with some empowerment. I'm going to read you guys a chapter from my second book, Finding Freedom in an Age of Confusion, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Thoughts on news and guts? I don't know them. Thank you for the good information. You're very welcome. Super Bowl, Tony Fernandez. I'm in Houston. The Super Bowl is here in the city this weekend. Human trafficking. You missed it earlier, man. You're going to have to watch it later. So, now, as I mentioned, if you were to trust the deadstream corporate media, they would be telling you that Iran has attacked an American Navy ship just yesterday. So, America needs to retaliate. Who out there has heard of Gulf of Tonkin? You guys familiar with the Gulf of Tonkin incident? It's a false flag incident. It's now proven to be false flag. Robert McNamara, former official in the U.S. government, confirmed this, as many people have suspected, that the Gulf of Tonkin incident is what sparked and was kind of the ultimate push for Americans to get involved in Vietnam. And it was a completely fabricated event. It never happened. Gulf of Tonkin. So, you know, the thing is, we were lied to about it. Global Research says great. We were lied to about it, and they sent people, young men and women, to go die, well, young men at the time, to go die in a war that people didn't want to be involved in the first place. We are witnessing this right now. Rest assured. You know how, if you're in the conspiracy research world or just independent research, you look back and you read about these things like, oh, Gulf of Tonkin, oh yeah, like, you know, all these things that are in the distant past. Well, like, red alert, we are having one of these happen right now. This is a false flag event that is taking place. And I'll say this at the least. They haven't provided any evidence so far that clearly, conclusively shows that Iran has attacked the U.S. So this article is coming from the Anti-Media, from Darius. Great, amazing writer. I'm just going to skim through this for you guys. It says, at a press briefing on Thursday, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer asserted that Iran had attacked a U.S. naval vessel. This statement was taken as part and parcel of his argument defending the Trump's administration and decision to put Iran on notice, is what they said the other day. However, as the Intercept, Glenn Greenwald confirmed directly with Pentagon spokesperson Christopher Sherwood, the attack in question actually took place on a Saudi warship. And the suspected perpetrators of the attack are the Houthi rebels currently leading an insurrection in Yemen, not Iran. So let's get that straight. So the attack is actually alleged, according to the Pentagon's own spokesperson that's told this to The Intercept, that it came from Yemen, which is experiencing civil war, and definitely you have the U.S. hand there. The U.S. has been drone bombing them for years now. Attacking a Saudi ship, not an American naval ship, and it didn't come from Iran, but now they're spinning it that way. But Iran is allegedly backing the Houthi rebels in Yemen, so now by proxy they're saying, oh, that was Iran, and they attacked Saudi Arabia, which coincidentally, Saudi Arabia was part of the funding of the 9/11 attacks that we were lied to about, and they're also America's partner in oil, and greatest export is Wahhabism, extremism, radical Islam, and true extremism, where they're cutting people's hands off and beheading people. But the United States remains partner with them, and despite Donald Trump and his ban on terrorist nations, there's no ban on Saudi Arabia. But because the United States is so closely connected with this nation, they're, I guess, considering it to be an attack on them. So surely any attack by those rebels against the U.S. or its allies can be deemed an assault by the Iranians by proxy, right? According to UN experts, no. These UN experts presented a report to the UN Security Council just this past weekend stating that the panel has not seen sufficient evidence to confirm any direct large-scale supply of arms from the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, although there are indicators that anti-tank guided weapons being supplied to the Houthi or Saleh forces are of Iranian manufacture. So they're saying some of the weapons have been made in Iran, but there's no evidence that Iran has been providing weapons to rebels, at least according to this most recent UN panel. And if you're skeptical of the UN experts, this article says, well, let's look a little bit further. Perhaps one could analyze the claims made by mainstream media regarding Iran's role in Yemen to see if there's any substance to the narrative that Iran is backing the Houthi rebels, as noted by a Truth Out article published in October 2015. So he goes on to show, to basically just show that there's really not any evidence, compelling evidence of Iranian involvement in this, but America is pushing forth either way. And this brings me to the next article, Damon, on the antimedia.org. Iran just officially, as of February 1st, ditched the US dollar in a major blow to the US. Here's why it matters. Now tell me if you've heard this before. Tell me if you've heard this before. Middle Eastern nation decides to drop US dollar, reject US hegemony, reject US imperialism, and then all of a sudden, we need to go attack them. We need to go after these people. I think we've heard this one before. And guess what? The American public's probably going to fall for it again. It's up to each of us out here who are paying attention and seeing this information. Yeah, Libya, exactly. To pay attention and to spread this information. Following President Trump's ban on travelers from 7 predominantly Muslim countries, the Iranian government announced that it would stop using the US dollar as its currency of choice in its financial and foreign exchange reports, according to the Financial Tribune. Iran Governor Valeyla Saif's central bank announced the decision in a television interview on January 29th. The change will take place on March 21st, and it will impact all official financial and foreign exchange reports. Iran's difficulties in dealing with the dollar, he said, were in place from the time of the primary sanctions, and this trend is continuing. He says, when it comes to other currencies, we face no limitations. So what does this mean? How is this going to affect the average American? Well, what we should be paying attention to is it seems like we are in 1984. Things have reversed. All of a sudden, the right-wing conservatives, instead of hating Russia, they're like, yes, let's be partners with Russia. And now they're ready to hate China. We've also got some crazy division in the country where the extreme left wing is willing to use violence against the extreme right wing. And those of us in the middle who are trying to hold it down independently and find sanity and freedom are just like, what the hell is going on? So how does this international situation play into all that? If nations like Iran, Syria, China, other nations who are not friendly to U.S. imperialism and U.S. colonialism and empire, if they began rejecting the U.S. dollar, that could have huge implications. And there's already been moves like this taking place for years where with the BRICS nations are moving away from into their own possible currency. You also have nations moving away from OPEC, the oil-producing nations. And all of these things could signal, and I think this is the direction we're going into, is that the U.S. is going to lose its role as superpower, and we're going to shift to a place where either Russia or China kind of take that stance. And I don't think this is a positive necessarily a positive thing, because when you're thinking about this, Russia and China are already using authoritarian measures against their people, surveillance state, police states, repression of freedom, and repression of sexuality, all these different things. And the United States is going to be up there with them, but with a little bit less power. So what I've been telling friends is you have to face this reality. I'm 32, so most of it, maybe there's some of you a few years older than me, a bit older than me, some younger than me, but our generations generally who are tuned into this technology and are paying attention, we are going to see the United States shift from being the number one superpower, and all the luxuries and things that Americans have become accustomed to, having food from all around the world, and just all these things that we take for granted will probably change or be a lot more expensive as the U.S. loses this number one power. And some would say that this is being done, social engineering, the division, the separation of Americans becoming further polarized, and the breaking down of Americans' power and shifting to other nations, because elitists, globalists, banksters, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the ruling class, the parasite class, they would like to have a nation like the U.S. a little bit weaker, a little bit more manageable, a little bit more controlled, surveyed, suppressed, distracted, and we can't do that with too much economic wealth. So I think that overall the United States is going to shift from power. We're going to see that take place possibly during the Trump administration. Maybe some people blame it on him. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because presidents are puppets. They are selected, not elected. Now, for the last part of our broadcast today, I'm doing fairly well. We're about 40 minutes in, so we're doing pretty good here. This last one is from my book, Finding Freedom in an Age of Confusion. And just let me make this clear, because I saw somebody post this last week. They're like, oh, I don't want to listen to this guy. He's just trying to sell his book. My books are available for free if you'd like. You can buy them if you want them in print, and that's cool. But you can also download them for free because we think the information is that important. Go to theconsciousresistance.com/books. The books on the left, including Reflections on Anarchy and Spirituality, are available to download or to purchase. The second book, Finding Freedom in an Age of Confusion, is where this essay, this brief essay, it's not too long. I'm going to read it to you guys. It's called You Are Not Alone. And I really do think that this is a message that really could be powerful. There's another one as well. I'm going to post this in there. I wrote this essay that's coming out of my next book, which is called Manifesto of the Free Humans. There's a video online, youtube.com/consciousresistance, where you guys can see all about that book. It's called This Book Will Free Your Mind. But I released a new essay called The Authoritarian Right and Left, and I'm posting that right now. And if you see that one, that's very, very relevant to how we're seeing right and left become more divisive. That's from my next book, which is coming out in April 7th at the Free Your Mind Conference in Philadelphia. And that will, of course, be available for download for free. The audiobooks are going to be available for download for free again. So what I'm reading right now is called You Are Not Alone, Finding Freedom in an Age of Confusion. Damon just posted the link a moment ago. Maybe you can post it one more time, Damon. I'm going to just read this through for you guys, and hopefully this will give you an idea of what we write about, what my work's about. This is a book. These books I've co-authored with John Vibes of the Free Thought Project. The process of self-discovery and learning to question the commonly accepted beliefs that most of our society holds as infallible is not always an easy or especially fun journey. For many of us, the process can be quite scary, as you feel like your whole life has been turned upside down. Both of us, John and I, have vivid memories of many nights spent researching the nature of government and the nature of reality itself. Sleepless nights often lead to hopeless days and depression. When you wake up and challenge dogmas related to government, health, relationships, authority, and history, you may experience a journey similar to those who are grieving the loss of a loved one. In her 1969 book On Death and Dying, Swiss psychiatrist Elisabeth Kubler-Ross discussed what came to be known as the Kubler-Ross model of grief. This included 5 different stages that you guys may have heard of: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And this was not meant to be seen as a specific set of stages that every individual will experience or a specific order in which they may occur. Some individuals may grieve for long periods of time and experience all the stages, while others may not. Still, the model offers some insight into what one may experience after challenging everything they have been taught or told by their parents, teachers, priests, and politicians. These feelings of anger and depression can often lead to feeling alone in a world of insanity. For far too long, people like us who have cared about freedom and imagined a better world for our species have felt alone in their interests and have been forced into the fringes of society. However, as the philosophy of freedom and non-aggression is beginning to seep into the mainstream culture, the times are changing. There has always been a portion of society who rejected authority in their hearts without ever crossing paths with another anti-authoritarian, liberation-minded individual. Today, though, the world is much larger, and there is now a wealth of information available to more people than ever. Our digital world, like this, allows free thinkers to cross paths with regularity, which is helping to push along the philosophical renaissance that we predicted in our first book, Reflections on Anarchy and Spirituality. With that said, there is still plenty of work to be done. Unfortunately, we are fighting an uphill battle where our opponent was given a head start. The vast majority of people alive today in the Western world were molded by the state and public schools and entertained by propaganda. Many of these people have been taught a deep love and support for the status quo. Still, despite the propaganda, the human spirit is so resistant to the irrational and unnatural concept of authority that even after 12 years of indoctrination and constant manipulation, we can still overcome and free our minds. Despite the growing awakening, you may have experienced uncomfortable situations when you try to talk about your concerns in public. This creates a situation where nobody feels comfortable sharing their opinions in public, and none of us truly know how many rebels exist. In reality, there are a lot more rebels out there than many people think, but many go unnoticed because human beings, we want to fit in, and often we avoid speaking about uncomfortable truths or ideas because we are trying to avoid being ostracized. This is why it is important for each of you to start making as much noise as possible. We must let all the other rebels know they are not alone and encourage them to come out of hiding. Deep down, we are all rebels, and the more people who step forward to admit it, the closer we will be to achieving freedom. We are all born rebels. This is our natural state. It is only after a lifetime of being beaten down by an insane culture that we have come to embrace insanity for the sake of convenience. Could it be possible that everyone out there is just pretending to go along with the status quo? It seems even those who wholeheartedly embrace society are still forced to use watered-down language and euphemisms to describe the world around them because the cold hard truth is simply too much to bear. As the state's failed and unsustainable practices become more obvious, the status quo will become less of a convenience for people, there's convenience again, and they will begin to open to new ideas more than ever, and the rebels will come out of hiding. These like-minded people are already all around you. Look around, find them, and the more open that you are about your own beliefs, the more open-minded people you will attract. This doesn't mean that it's a good idea to get in everybody's face and create awkward situations for yourself, but it would be a wise move to begin testing the waters with subtle hints about your newfound beliefs and see if anybody picks up. Find out who may be receptive to your ideas and who refuses to listen. If someone is genuinely not interested, do not force your views, as this will only create tension in your personal life. It's important to remember not to be resentful and hateful towards those who cannot or will not research the information that is hiding behind the curtain. Words like sheeple and statist quickly turn from descriptors of an ignorant person to a way to dismiss anyone who may not agree with your specific opinion or theory. We have to learn to accept people where they are and help those that we can. The goal, at least for me, is collective liberation through individual empowerment. So ultimately, it's up to each individual to carve their own path to freedom. Sometimes all we can do is plant seeds. Surely we're not the only ones out there who've noticed that the freedom and truth movements are quickly becoming polarized and divided, just like the mainstream political circles. What is absolutely important is to remain true to your individual principles, but it may not be the most productive action to immediately disregard anyone who doesn't see the world exactly as you see it. The truth is, we all have blind spots in our thinking, and we all have things to learn from other people. It is possible to have a friendly conversation with someone who sees the world completely different from you, without sacrificing your beliefs and without expecting them to sacrifice theirs. And this isn't to say that there are no right or wrong answers, because in many cases there are things which can be verified and proven, but standing on opposing ends of an issue and shoving ideas down each other's throat is how the Republicrats communicate, and it's not how free people should communicate with each other. For those of us who are standing outside of the political left and right mania, we see the stagnation and inefficiency that is caused by this sort of divisive approach to communication and problem solving. Debates in political circles are typically centered around attacking your opponent and showing off, instead of being focused on actually solving any of the problems at hand. This is one of the many reasons why the solutions to the world's problems will not come from governments as we know them today. We must recognize that a growing number of people throughout the world are becoming disgusted with the violence and subjugation that has become commonplace in society. We all come from different backgrounds, different environments, and different experiences. This information that has shaped our world differs from individual to individual, and we have all entered this movement with different preconceived notions about why we're in this mess and how to get out of it. And to some people, this seems like a dangerous and volatile situation, especially if you're used to seeing people with different opinions tear each other apart. But in reality, we believe that this is a beautiful gift that we should all embrace as we attempt to learn from each other. If we think of the global situation as a giant puzzle, we can describe all these different people and different viewpoints as a unique piece of the puzzle that is essential for its completion. Some of us may be conservative on certain issues and liberal on others. We may call ourselves voluntarists or libertarians, constitutionalists or anarchists. We may be socialists or futurists, communists or individualists. We may disagree on a range of ideas, but the bottom line is that we have a great deal to learn from one another. There is no way we are going to fight the mercantilist monster that stands before us if we don't respect one another's opinions and banish the idea that someone with a different opinion may actually have something valid to teach us. As freethinkers, we should celebrate the moment that we learn new information, even if that information may cause us to change our minds and feel differently about certain topics, especially if the information will cause us to change our minds. The ability to overcome one's own ego and humbly change your mind when presented with new information is the fundamental characteristic of a free thinker. Again, we want to be clear that this does not mean that you should go around agreeing with what everyone says or that you can't be firm in your own convictions. But it is just as important to remember that we are all in this fight to solve problems and reduce the level of accepted violence. We are not here to break each other down and further divide our world. We are here to teach, learn, and build a better world. Engaging in debates with people who are deeply entrenched in their own worldview may have some importance and value, but you will be disappointed if you expect to find like-minded people through this process. That's not to say that you shouldn't associate or discuss philosophy with people who disagree with you, because you absolutely should. But the more often we interact and connect with each other and our brothers and sisters of similar worldview and goals, the more we contribute to a paradigm shift of hearts and minds. A paradigm shift is a process in which individuals gain new knowledge which completely alters and evolves their understanding of the world. We believe we are currently experiencing a paradigm shift that has been taking place for generations and increasing in the last decades of the 20th century. By educating yourself about the hidden truths of the world and seeking solutions that empower each of us, you are contributing to this shift. And here's the end. Here's the end of this whole essay. Thank you guys for hanging on for this long. As the state continues its death march and eventual collapse, it will become increasingly important to build communities in the digital and physical worlds. Together, we can educate each other and create solutions which will put an end to systematic oppression and allow the human spirit to flourish. Boom. All right, that essay is called You Are Not Alone. It's from my book, Finding Freedom in an Age of Confusion. And check that out. Please read it, read the whole book, download it. Like I said, it's for free. Jody, have you ever heard of the 100th Monkey Experiment? Yes, I have heard about that. And I do believe that there are elements of that are true and that we influence each other. And I've seen it in my own life. You know, I hate to reiterate my personal story every time we talk, but it's been, you know, a crazy change the last 6 years. 11 years ago, I was addicted to crystal meth. I was going to prison. I was doing all this stuff. Once I started to change my behavior, change my surroundings, change the way I viewed myself, I had to learn self-love and to care about the world. I learned empowerment, which is why you always hear me rambling and talking about empowerment and this, because we're never going to create a stateless society or a world without coercion, without violence. And to me, the answer is to remove government. But we're never going to be able to do that until we heal and empower ourselves. That's what the Conscious Resistance message is all about. That's what my books are about. If you enjoyed that, please find us on theconsciousresistance.com. My final announcement of the night is that I'm going on tour. If you enjoyed what you've heard today, my journalism, my ranting, my raving, the essay you just heard, please check out theconsciousresistance.com/tour, or Damon, can you please share that link? And check out the dates. We just fixed them today. So what's going on is beginning in June, we're going to do a Texas tour, a Gulf Coast tour, where I go across Texas giving talks, and we're going to go to New Orleans. We're going to spend 2 weeks on the road, then we're going to come home. Then in the middle of July, I think I showed you guys the map last week on the show, but we're going to go West Coast, up California. We're going to hit Utah. We're going to come back down Vegas, Arizona, go to Jackalope Fest in August. Then we're going to come across to Kansas City, go up to like Wisconsin, Chicago, Indiana, come back down. We're not hitting the East Coast yet, not till October. But if you're interested, check out the ConsciousResistance.com tour. You will get to hear the following. I will lead every night with a 10-minute guided meditation. That's how our events are going to start. Then I'm going to discuss all the concepts that you just heard about, more specifically freedom cells, community building, the message within my books. My co-author, John Vibes, is also going to be speaking about how he's killing his cancer without chemo, using CBD and other things. And then we will also have my roommates here at the Freethinker House talk about their experience, how we're building freedom cells, freedomcells.org. Please check that out as well. And how we're building community here. And then they're both musicians, acoustic musicians, so we're going to close out each night with music from them. So probably about a 2-hour event. We're looking for backyards, bookstores, community centers, your house, whatever. We're not opposed to anything. I want to be involved in the community. And the idea, too, is during the day, we're going to do action days. We're not just coming to your community to say, hey, listen to us, look at us with our big egos and all of our ideas. We want to contribute to the community. We're trying to see if we can do this whole tour on waste vegetable oil, WVO. If you've got a waste vegetable oil van, if you've got some resources, please contact me at Derrick@theconsciousresistance.com. And we're going to do this tour. We're going to do some good things. And if we can't do it on waste vegetable oil and we got to use gas, we're going to be planting trees and doing different things to offset the cost along the way. So planting trees, the action days will be involving community garden builds, homeless outreach, park cleanups, whatever we can do to contribute to your community. So we're coming to contribute to your community during the day. Then at night, we'll have a meditation, speaking / music event, spreading consciousness, awareness, empowerment all around the U.S. The East Coast tour will probably be in October. So it's looking like June, Texas, Gulf Coast, West Coast, Midwest, July and August, and then we'll be hitting the East Coast, which we got a lot of support on and down in Florida and all across New England, the New England states and Upper East Coast. So thank you guys for supporting. I very much appreciate your support. My books, again, are available at theconsciousresistance.com/books. Click on them, look in them, look up the information. You can you can download them for free. You can order them if you like. That's all I got, guys. I covered everything on this little pad, and I think I talked for almost an hour, but we kept it sort of short. You guys still stayed with me, and I very much appreciate that. Follow us on the Conscious Resistance Network. If you like my work and you'd like to support me on a monthly basis, the journalism that I do, the work that I do, you can check me out at patreon.com/Derrick Broze. I'll post that link for you right now. And you can support me on a monthly basis for as little as $1 a month. And I give you guys exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff. I've been reading a weekly chapter from my new book for those people who are signed up. So if you want to go that extra level, that's appreciated, but no pressure. Thank you guys for all your support. Remember, the last thing we do here is we do the positive affirmations. Why do you wear headphones whenever you talk? Because the phone doesn't pick up the audio as good, and there's a mic right here, so it works better. It's just what I do. What's up, Alex? You're here in time for the positive affirmation. All right, final thing for us. We like to do positive affirmations. So take a deep breath with me, and I'll slow down before we say goodnight. All right. Repeat after me if you choose to. In this moment, I am empowered. In this moment, I choose to reflect all that I wish to see in the world. Now think about that for a moment. In this moment, I choose to reflect all that I wish to see in this world. Because when we look at the world and we see things that we don't like, we can't just condemn other people and tell them to be what we want. We have to choose, make a choice, because that's the thing, make a choice, consciously make a choice to change your behavior. We have to choose to change our actions so that we can see what we want to see in the world. So if you see somebody else doing something and you're judging them, you don't like it, you want to fix that, then be it. Be that change, reflect it. So let's do that again. In this moment, I choose to reflect that which I want to see in the world. Thank you guys for listening, for watching. My name is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network. You can email me at Derrick@theconsciousresistance.com with your hate mail, love mail, any questions. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, you are free. Peace. Ow!